Ready, go.
Okay. So, how are you feeling coming into Saturday?
Good. Got to cut weight today. It's never fun. So I'll probably be more happy like at, say, 9:15 a.m. tomorrow.
Right. And training camp went well. How are you feeling in terms of physicality?
Training camp, everything was good, productive, injury-free, and you know, I think I'm going to be lighter than I have been probably ever to start my weight cut. So it's not by much, by half a pound or maybe a pound. So it's nice.
Fighting again in Singapore, how does it feel to come back and compete here again?
It's good. I love Singapore. You know, when I left in 2017, I didn't know if I'd ever be back because it is quite far by plane, even by plane. If you had to walk or drive, you might never get here. So it's great. I love it. You know, the last couple days have been busy with media and other obligations, and now I'm going to cut weight. And so hopefully I'll enjoy a few good meals on Friday night, Saturday morning, that kind of thing.
Right, and when you called out Demian Maia, it kind of took everyone by surprise. What was the reasoning behind you calling out Maia?
I always wanted to fight him, right? You know, he was a guy who's been in the top of the division forever. He's fought for world titles at both middleweight and welterweight. And I liked his style. I liked that he stayed, so he did two things. He stayed true to his grappling roots, and he also implemented his wrestling really well in jiu-jitsu, which is something a lot of jiu-jitsu people fail to do. So, you know, I always want to see that challenge. I really do view him as, you know, really when you think of best grapplers, it's probably him or Khabib. And obviously Khabib's not in my weight class. So it's like, okay, I get to have this test, which I think is going to be an awesome test, and I'm looking forward to it.
When you got to the UFC, was that always a fight that was at the back of your mind?
Well, unfortunately, when I got there, he had lost the three in a row. So, you know, I kind of figured it was time, you know, passed. But actually, during my first free agent negotiation period back in 2013, he was pretty highly ranked, and that was someone who I thought was a possibility I may fight.
Right, and when you got to the UFC, many people did not kind of give you much credit, but one could say you are the most interesting or entertaining fighter in the UFC at the moment.
I actually feel like I was given a decent amount of credit when I came over to the UFC. But yeah, I think there was obviously a level of intrigue of how I would do in the UFC, and so far the results have been mixed. I had the fight against Robbie, who, you know, he's a former world champion. I was able to get my hand raised, and then I had the negative result against Masvidal. You know, this Saturday will prove a lot.
Right, and how was it to deal with a loss? Obviously, that was your first in a really long time, first in MMA. Just how did you kind of have to deal with that?
Man, I don't know. I just hopped right back in, and you know, I had the fight not as booked, but talked about with Demian probably within a week or so, and so I was ready to get back in there and, you know, change the direction.
Right, and how does it feel not to have that kind of an animosity? Because you respectfully called out Maia, you both have been very respectful.
I don't know. I think that the animosity is kind of fun. It's also fine when you don't have, you know, Robbie Lawler didn't have any animosity. So Shinya Oki didn't have any animosity, and so, yeah, I've had obviously both sides of the coin. I enjoy both of them equally, and you know, who knows? Maybe the next fight I will have a lot more animosity. Never know.
And people kind of see this fight as a chess game between one of the elite wrestlers, one of the elite grapplers, as you said, mixes wrestling well. How do you kind of analyze the fight stylistically?
How do I what?
Analyze the fight.
How do I analyze it? Yeah, I mean, so, you know, one of the things, so Damian's had trouble with wrestlers in the past. Obviously, you would probably say those wrestlers have better striking than me. But, you know, so then you add in that he's never really fought anyone with the level of wrestling and grappling tied together. You know, I'm pretty sure I would beat Marty and Colby in a grappling match. And so, you know, it's a unique matchup because you've never really seen me face someone like him or him face someone like me. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds.
Right, and with one or two wins, we have seen fighters, especially in the welterweight division, get back on the horse, probably calling for a title shot. Do you think with one big win, maybe one more after this, you'll get back?
I think two. This one and one more.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. This one will be hard. Unfortunately, George is probably going to get the title shot when he beats Nate, which I don't love, but, you know, it's hard to argue with, obviously, trying to be objective. So you'll say, you know, the title fight happens in December. There'll probably be another one, you're guessing, in, you know, March, April, somewhere around there, so that, you know, I get one more fight and then hopefully I'm right in place.
Right. You said you had Demian Maia in your mind when you negotiated the UFC. Do you have either Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington probably at the back of your mind with a win over here?
Like I said, I think it's two-way. So, well, yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Have you had a chat with Joe Rogan since returning to the UFC? Because he was such a champion of wanting to get you in the promotion for years.
Yeah, we've texted back and forth. Obviously, I didn't go on a show or anything. I just watched him with Edward Snowden yesterday. That was interesting. I wish it was a little more conversational, but whatever. I'm not going to complain. But I mean, to know, I have not been back on the show, but yes, I have texted with him. So.
Yeah, is he pretty pleased to have you here?
Yeah, I think so. For him, and he's just a champion of mixed martial arts. He wasn't, and I don't think he's always a fan of why I was kept out. And then all the other politics. It's just like, the reason mixed martial arts started was we wanted to see what would happen when all these different people with all these different fighting styles got in a cage, and what was actually the most effective. And so when I'm doing something unique, right, because I am essentially using my wrestling more than anyone, right, uses their wrestling, and I win 19 fights in a row over the course of 9 years, it's, how would that style fare? And so now he's getting to see it play out. So I think that's it.
At times in your career, you were given a hard time for not being entertaining in your fights. Looking at your last 2 UFC fights, they've
been pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah. That was more that was my early career, and that was, I don't want to say like, if I could re-pick a path, because you pick a path and you go, but I fought for a title in Bellator, which is, a fairly large organization, literally 19 months after my first fight. Think about that. Think about how fast I was in it. And I'm fighting 5-round title shots, and so, I essentially went into the Bellator tournament 13 months or 14 months after my first fight, so we're talking 1 year. And so it's like, I don't have time to develop all these other skills. It's just like, I gotta win. That's all I have to figure out how to win. It's a tournament. I'm gonna go this round and this round and this round. It wasn't like, some of these guys now, they bring them up so slow and they give them like 10 fights to develop. And it was like, I'm in a tournament and I'm gonna fight for the world title 18 months after I start fighting. So for me, it's just, I need to figure out how to beat these guys. That's plain and simple, that's it. I'm not getting schmucks. My 6th fight, I fought some guy who was 22-2. My 7th fight, I fought a guy who's 13-0. Hey, how do you win? Okay, I figure out how to win. So now I have the belt. It's not like I can say, hold on, give me a couple years to develop, right? And so I just got to keep fighting the best guys they have. They keep giving me the best guys. And so I think the turning point for me was, I finally, I moved to Dukes, and even then it took me a while to figure it out. The Carl Amasu fight is when I think a lot of stuff came together, and then if you look at my career from then on, it was like I smashed everybody. It wasn't really competitive, because what I learned how to do, I learned how to use my wrestling with controlling jiu-jitsu and really good ground and pound striking. And so when you put all those 3 elements together, I want to say I finished all of those fights except one. And so that, we're talking since 2012. Since 2012. I mean, it's been 7 years, and I've had one fight that went the distance.
As you said, you smashed all of your opponents back then. You retired briefly. Would you say that now you're enjoying fighting more than probably when you decided to retire?
It's a tough question. I don't know. I think I enjoyed it all the way through. So now I don't think there's a change in level of enjoyment.
Is there a final sales pitch? What can fans expect from you and Demian Maia on Saturday night?
I think it's going to be a really exciting grappling match. One of the things, I guess one of the charges levied against Demian, and I'm not levying this charge, this would be other people, obviously, is that, he can kind of be boring against some people because he takes the back. And, part of it is, and this is me too, right? Part of it is, the offensive guy always gets the negative press, right? When I'm on top and the bottom guy's just doing this, and when they just do this, you don't have any openings, right? It's hard to take advantage. Now, if the other guy's fighting back, there's going to be more opportunity for you to take advantage of the mistakes he makes. But if they just do this, like someone, he gets their back, and they just do this, it's hard for him to get finishes, and it's hard to strike and that stuff. But obviously, it's an effective strategy to win. And so some of the charges levied against him were that, he doesn't progress toward the finish. And so, I think one of the things that I will force him to do is, kind of fight an aggressive grappling style. Like, we're going to get in there and mix it up. It's not going to be like we're staring at each other or sitting in one position. Like, we're going to get in there and we're going to mix it up.
So everyone who's saying, it might be a boring fight between you two are
I think that's highly unlikely. But listen, I've been wrong before. I think it's probably highly unlikely that it's going to be a boring fight.
And you recently did a foot walk, I think.
What?
You recently did a foot walk, I think 2 days ago. You put it on your vlog.
Oh, football?
Foot walk.
Oh, yeah, that's what you guys call it here. We don't have that term in America. We don't have that term. Yes, we did a food walk.
Yeah, with Drew.
Yes.
The guy that took you around. So
yes.
How was the experience?
It was fun. He has hit me up on Instagram, and I kind of looked through his profile. It looked like he was a reasonable person, knew what he was talking about. So I figured, I got 3 corners here. They'd never been to Singapore before. Let's go show them a good time. So I didn't eat any sketchy food. I didn't eat the frog and then the fish head curry. I kind of stayed away from that. But yeah, we had a good time. We had a blast. We enjoyed it. I had some Middle Eastern food, which was good. I had a little bit of Indian food, and then I stayed away from fish head curry. So I didn't do any of that.
All right.
The frogs were gross.
In the UFC, what's your vision on the division right now?
Division's kind of a mess, a little bit. So hopefully I can add some more clarity to it after Saturday night. If I get a win, then I can call someone out, and then we can kind of really see how the division lays out. And then obviously next week will give us a little more clarity because we'll have Masvidal Diaz. We'll also have Thompson, and he's fighting somebody I don't recall right now. What?
Gastelum?
No, Gastelum and Till are fighting. But they moved up.
They moved up.
Yeah, they moved up. They're not welterweights. I don't think they'll ever be welterweights again. They both enjoy eating. Luque, yes. So I think after next week we'll have a little more clarity, and hopefully get a win, get a good call out, and then again we'll see where the division goes.
Ben, throughout most of the fans think wrestling is, like they said, boring, but as of late there are very good grappling matches, wrestling bouts, which even you fought with Jonathan Burroughs, and coming into with all the momentum coming into this fight, how do you how do you see yourself being the advocate, like putting grappling and wrestling, making it great again?
Making it great. Well, I don't think it's again. I think grappling and wrestling are figuring it out for the first time ever. We have full grappling and full wrestling, which put on all these things, and they're actually figuring out how to promote the sport in ways that it should be promoted, right? In a way that mixed martial arts figured it out when at the advent of it, and people are interested in it, and that interest and that monetary system drives the sport forward. And so that's kind of what we're seeing with both full wrestling and full grappling. They're really getting a lot of momentum behind them and drawing a lot of spectators. ADCC was just on full grappling a couple weeks ago. So I think it's great because obviously I'm passionate about pretty much all of the grappling arts. I think they're all growing by leaps and bounds. And I think I see, right, I run through wrestling academy. I see the benefits that wrestling, I'm assuming jiu-jitsu similar, provides to young kids. The discipline, the work ethic, the perseverance, all of those things. So I think it's really good that more people are getting into it.
Right, I wanted to ask you about that as well. You work with the kids a lot in terms of teaching them wrestling. How rewarding has it been for you personally?
It's awesome. I love it. I mean, that's where when I see like someone, you asked me, what am I doing in 10 years?
Yeah.
I don't know for sure everything I'll be doing. I will be working with with kids and with wrestling. That's something I think I'll do my entire life, literally till I die, because it just it's such an important thing, and I saw the way wrestling affected my life, and so not only just wrestling, but wrestling, and then having positive coaches, mentors, and other people around me. I see the way that affected me, and I want to have that same impact on as many lives as possible. And that's when someone asks us, well, how big are we going to grow Askren Wrestling Academy? It's like, well, I'm not going to put a cap on it. As long as I can put good coaches and mentors in front of kids and change their life. I mean, literally. This kind of makes me sad because I think about it a lot. It's like, do you know how many kids don't have someone telling them that they love them and they can do something in their life? I mean, there's so many kids who have shitty parents, shitty teachers, shitty mentors, Can I say shit in Singapore? I don't know. And so, listen, I see it in kids. To have a coach or mentor that looks them in the eye and says, you can do this, like, dude, that changes their life. It really does. I mean, some of those kids have never had anyone tell them, you can be good, you can do this. They've literally never, and it literally changes their life. Just like that, knowing someone that believes in them and someone has their back, I mean, it's just such a powerful thing.
We have our last question.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a question real quick. You talked
Can I
about,
say shit in Singapore?
I think you can. Yeah.
yeah, real quick for me. You talked about it already. How do you see the fight next week in New York?
The Masvidal Diaz.
Yes.
I think Masvidal is a little bit better than Nate, and they fight a similar style, obviously. So yeah, I see George winning. I think he's just, like I said, a little bit more diverse and dynamic striker, a little bit bigger and stronger, a little bit better wrestler, a little, probably a little worse jiu-jitsu, but I think if he doesn't, and if they end up on the mat, he'll be on top. So yeah, unfortunately, he's gonna win.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, guys.